Hey there! Want to spend less time pulling weeds? Check out Soil Shield by Modern Grower. It's the pre-cut landscape fabric solution to help you drastically reduce weed pressure. Just roll it out, staple it down, and plant. Then let it do the work for you. Say goodbye to endless weeding and hello to more free time. Plus, it's high quality, durable, and will last for years, saving you time and money in the long run. It's available in a variety of row and hole spacings to accommodate all the crops that vegetable farmers grow. Learn more about Soil Shield landscape fabric at shop.moderngrower.co or using the link below. And whether you're adding molasses or humic acid or even compost to the soil, those are ways that humans try to build soil. We add stuff to the top, or we pour stuff on, or we try and turn stuff into the soil. But another way soil can be built is just by nature doing it. Plants. Putting plants in the ground and letting plants help encourage microbial life underneath the soil by getting that carbon pump going, collecting the sun rays, turning it into sugar, and then injecting that sugar into the soil to feed microbial life. When you think about plants building soil, are there fungal favorite plants? Like, I'm thinking cover crops that you could plant that would encourage fungi to grow either while the crops are living or that the fungi could feed off when the cover crops are terminated. What are your thoughts on that? Are there crops that are more fungally than bacterially favored?
Yeah, if you want to use, and see, we always recommend cover plants that are perennial, because and you want the really short, low-growing ones. They put their roots down deep into the soil. Typically, they're perennial plants. They're going to get those down. They're somewhat woody typically, and so short, low-going things. So they're not going to interfere with whatever crop you're trying to grow. But you don't have to mow these down. You don't have to crimp them. You don't have to do anything year after year after year for the next 2,000 years. We could have the same cover plants growing and never have to do anything to add more mulch or add more compost or all the other things that are so laborious when we're trying to maintain a garden or an acre of your farm or something.
So that could be enough.
So that's enough, because they're going to, you harvest the above ground part of your plant, you let the residues fall to the surface of the soil, and because these cover plants are maintaining that biology in the soil, it doesn't matter that your crop above ground got all dried out, really hot, dry conditions, which is what we want to, before we harvest any seeds. But if your soil surface dried and got all hardened out, all of your biology has either gone down into the soil or a lot of that biology has died, which means now you're going to have to do something to bring back that biology that shouldn't have died. It should have been covered by something, but the easy way to do it is to seed in that perennial crop once, and then it's there forever. And it's going to protect your soil surface from drying out. It's going to protect your soil surface from one of the most compacting factors ever invented, which is rainfall, falling from the sky and smacking on your soil. That's a compacting event. Oftentimes you will see the compaction layer forming at the surface, but if it's not forming here, it's forming down here, usually at about 4 to 6 inches. And there's a compaction layer in your soil that won't let your roots grow down as deep into that soil as you want them to grow. And then those cover plants will maintain the biology in your soil after you've harvested your crop plant.
Right.
So you're still making sure you're keeping the balance where it needs to be for whatever plant you're trying to grow. Make sure you're matching your cover plant to what you want to grow here. It means that you don't rotate your crops. You may rotate within the same successional stage, but you wouldn't want to grow brassicas here one year and then corn here the next year. The brassica wipe out all the mycorrhizal fungi, that the corn has to have in order to be able to yield well. You put all this mycorrhizal spores back into the soil in order to grow your crop this year, and now the next year you put the brassica on there. You are not going to be growing brassica if you've got a massive amount of mycorrhizal colonization in that system. So you stop rotating kind of mindlessly. Right. You rotate and you stay within the same successional stages, not mixing these things that need mostly bacteria versus things that need mostly fungi. And so the exudates coming out of the root system of that perennial plant maintain the biology where you want it to be, so you could keep growing corn in the same place year after year after year after year after year. So, here we go with the organic regs. Organic says, the organic management system says you have to rotate crops because they have the mistaken understanding that if you plant the same plant for very long, it's somehow going to remove too much of one or two nutrients. That's not how soil works. You keep planting something in the same place, you'll get some dominant organisms kind of taken over. But if you have the cover plant in there, now you've got, the main crop, but why not make certain that you've got 5 or 6 different species of plants growing as that short, low-growing cover plant, or ground cover. It's another term that people use for these kinds of plants. And so now you have a mix. You're going to maintain all the different species of bacteria and fungi and protozoa and nematodes and microarthropods and earthworms and everything else that should be in that soil. So you don't lose diversity. Now, people always say if you plant the same thing in the same place year after year, you're going to develop a massive number of disease-causing problems. You're going to have pests like you wouldn't believe. They just get worse every year. You can't keep growing the same thing in the same place. But you're preventing the diseases and the pest problems from developing by having this diversity. Nutrient cycling is always going to go on. Your plant's always going to have all the nutrients that it needs every second of every day. It will never be stressed. And the diseases and pests never come into that part of your garden. So we've got to do a little bit of readjustment of people's thoughts about having to rotate plants. If you maintain good biology in your soil, you don't ever have to rotate your plants. Keep growing the same thing in the same place for as long as you want to.
If you enjoy farm podcasts, then tune into Carrot Cash Flow for all things farm business. Join us as we explore the latest trends, tips, and stories from market farmers running businesses just like yours. Whether you're a seasoned farmer or just starting out, our podcast has something for everyone. Listen in and grow with us. Available on all major podcast platforms. Don't miss out. Subscribe to Carrot Cash Flow today.